This time on Low Boost, we're going over some suspension changes on our E36 Turbo LS swap and make sure that we fit our nice big fat tire in the back. All right, doing a couple of maintenance things on the GMW just to kind of get everything ready before I turn the boost up. Doing an oil change, 6.5 quarts. Use Rotella 15W40 full synthetic, 6.5 quarts of it, maybe a little bit more because I have stuff going through the turbo as well as my scavenge tank and scavenge pump. So that's more than enough to be able to cover me for what I have to do. This is a Camaro F-body oil pan, so that's just kind of the going rate on what you do with those. I just add a little bit more to cover me for the extra oiling as well. And if I add an oil cooler, I would add a little bit more on top of that. I'm gonna do some other stuff too, and I gotta talk to you guys about the coilover suspension, the springs that I have in the back with my tire setup. So I get some questions about what kind of tire that I use on the back of the E36 Turbo LS swap. I don't use a normal tire size that you would normally see on Contour 17-inch wheels. These are M&H Race Masters, and they're a 245 45/17. So the sidewall is a little bit taller than your conventional 245 40/17s that I think people put on these. But I did that for two reasons. One, M&H Race Master makes that tire size. And two, when you have a little bit higher sidewall, the width doesn't really matter as much, and I can't fit a wide tire on this. Yeah, everybody wants a big fat wide tire, but if you have skinny sidewalls, they're not gonna crease and absorb that force to give you the traction that you need. So if you have a taller sidewall, it's beneficial. However, when I did my rear end swap, I swapped in H&R lowering springs. You can get these for the E36. They're all over the place, and it looked really cool on the car. But after driving it for a couple hundred miles, going over bumps, I actually kind of, it rubbed a little bit. And I don't know if that's, I think that should be fine. It's barely over it. There's so much tread left in the tire. You can see that I have a lot left to go, but because it sat so low, it rubbed a little bit. And before you can even ask, these fenders are rolled. So I had to put back the eBay coilover setup, and I will search for the proper spring setup for this. And as well, there's another guy on Instagram that I spoke to because I want to get the right shocks for this. His LS1_E36 on Instagram. He has a turbo LS swapped E36 M3. The car is immaculate. It looks a lot better than mine. But he got Viking shocks out of a 2005 Pontiac GTO, and they went right in. So I want dual adjustable shocks to be able to absorb the dampening as well as the rebound so the car doesn't get wheel hop, that it hooks from a launch. Doing the rear end swap on the car and all the axles and stuff, I wanted to be able to hold the power, but why do all that stuff if you're not gonna launch it? And I would like the car to be able to launch at least pretty well for a stick shift car. Just in case you guys were wondering as well, this is the oil filter that I use on my oil pan. The PF46E that is supposed to go on the F-body Camaro oil pans. The hole is too small, the thread hole. So this one actually fits. I don't know what the deal is, why my oil pan is different, but if you are looking around, depending on your oil pan, I would double check the size of your oil filter before you actually bring it in to get a new one, because if you just go by what they say at AutoZone or Advanced Auto Parts, it's not gonna fit, or at least it didn't for me. This one fits and it works. Some other things that I'm doing on the car. As you noted from previous episodes, I'm having boost control issues having a fixed duty cycle on my boost controller. Now I have an AEM True Boost, and it actually has worked pretty well, and it functions as a pretty good boost gauge. And it comes with a 3-port valve, just like that I use for controlling boost. But the way that this engine is set up, this is a 6-liter, the large displacement LS with a 72mm turbo. So the turbo is spooling really fast, which is great, but it's running out of steam up top. And the band-aid to fix this, outside of hanging another turbo off of this sucker, is to just be able to get a boost controller that can go duty cycle by RPM. So I'm actually in the middle of wiring it to my Holly I have to double check and see which designation wire I have set on my software to wire it to it. And this is ground triggered. So I'll run one of these wires, that's the assigned one, to my boost controller ground wire over there. And that should control the duty cycle by a defined map that I'm gonna have. And I'll show you guys what it looks like, at least for now. And as it evolves, I'll share what the evolution of that map is gonna look like as I go with more PSI and more ethanol. Also, as you guys saw in a previous video, when I had the car at the other shop, didn't really upgrade, I added a flex fuel sensor. And I just went on Amazon and I bought the proper pigtail for it. So it needs to run power and ground and a trigger that will also go into one of those inputs that you just saw on my Holley Terminator X. Then once we do that, my buddy Justin at Savage Speed Garage is gonna set up the tune to automatically recognize whether the car is on E85 or E70, I think is what we're gonna tune for, or pump gas. That way, the car is gonna automatically adjust timing, fuel, and boost based on what fuel it senses in the car. It's gonna make it really easy to switch back and forth. That way I don't have to play around with switching stuff. Holley Terminator is pretty cool with that. If you guys wanna know how to wire up Holley Terminator X in your car, there's tons of videos out there, and I have a full web series on how I did it on this car. So if you're interested in doing that, check out my entire playlist for this because it's there. So there you have it, update on what's going on with the car that I'm gonna be doing in future episodes. So if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, you wanna follow along, hit the subscribe button. If you like this kind of stuff, smash the like button. It actually really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm that let them know that other people might want to see this video too. So make sure to hit the like button. Just to recap, the H&R Sport Springs do not work with these M&H Racemaster 245/45/17. So if you're looking to fit a nice meaty tire like this on the back of your car, you gotta have higher suspension. This tire works great with 650 pound-feet of torque. I can hook from like 10 miles an hour. I haven't tried launching it yet, but I do know that it'll hook from 10 to 20 miles an hour in first gear. So, and it hooks from a 40 roll, 50 roll, 60 roll, you name it, it hooks really well. So this tire works great for this car. So thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.